No, don't stop. That's the first breeze I felt. No. Hot, huh? No, I mean me. Well, I make a big statement. Broadway finally came to Southern California. It's tried several times before, but this last weekend it made it. And it happened to be the opening of the new Schubert Theater in Century City, which is like no theater you've ever seen in your life. And the big hit Broadway musical, Follies, is the show that opened it. And what a smash. It's one of the nicest evenings I ever spent. Not only in New York, but here in Hollywood. And I'm pleased to say that that award-winning musical is the subject of our show today. Today you will be meeting the cast of Follies right here. Isn't that nice? And you'll also be hearing some of the numbers from the show, which are really incredible. I'll first tell you about the cast that's here. First of all, a lovely lady who went from being perhaps merely well-known as a good film actress to virtually superstardom on the Broadway stage because of her performance in Follies. A performance which earned her, I might add, the Tony Award as Best Actress in a Musical. Lovely Alexis Smith. Also here is a man who's had a varied career spanning from vaudeville to films, one of the most memorable dancers and singers and actors for movie musicals. More recently, he's been directing television and films. He also had the rare opportunity of appearing in a film with me. It was called Three Sailors and a Girl. My part ran 2 minutes. And plus, I was behind Jackie Leonard through the entire film, which looked like a two-headed fat man. That's true. Gene Nelson is here. The beautiful ballad from the show Follies, Losing My Mind, is sung in Follies by a delightful singer and actress who is well-known as one of the stars of your hit parade on television, later Candid Camera. She's been with us many times before. A terrific performer, Dorothy Collins. Lady who's had a very versatile career is now in Follies and with us today. She started in films, went on to the successful television series The Munsters, and now is part of this wonderful Follies cast. A fine actress and singer, Yvonne DeCarlo. Starring as Ben Stone in Follies is a young man who is no stranger to theater and television and movie audiences. Among his credits are starring roles in both the Broadway and film version of the musical Sweet Charity. Gives a complex, a very interesting and important performance to a very complex part in Follies. And the fine actor he is comes shining through, John McMartin. True. Lots of time, of course, in Los Angeles here, you get a lot of road companies coming out for Broadway, and it never before had the feeling of an opening night or of a Broadway show. The other night was exceptional with this brand new Schubert Theater. It's amazing. You can pull up to the door in your car and go inside the theater without horns honking at you and people screaming, "Get out of the way!" And you go in and you sit down, and this magnificent performance unravels. But, of course, they'll never be able to sing songs about Century City like they did about Broadway, right? You know what I mean, Mark? I know I shouldn't talk to him. Ivar and Cahuenga?
Two good streets.
Play that music. It's a great Broadway song. Watch. Dancing feet on the avenue, I'm taking you to 42nd Street. Hear the beat
the hip hooray and the ballet-hoo, the lullaby of Broadway. The rumble of a subway train, the rattle of a taxi, the daffodils to entertain, and Angelos and Maxie's. When a Broadway baby says goodnight, it's early in the morning. Manhattan babies don't sleep tight until the dawn. Good night, baby. Good night. The milkman's on his way. Sleep tight, baby. Sleep tight. Let's call it a day. Why don't you listen to the lullaby of little nifties from the 50s, innocent and sweet. Sexy ladies from the 80s who are in the street. They're side by side, they're glorified. Where the underworld and the elite want to treat. You gotta let your feet to 42nd Street. Thank you. We'll be right back with Ivar and Kalenga.
I'm very excited to introduce this lady. Here is the singing and dancing leading lady of Follies, as strikingly beautiful and talented now as she was and is in the 40 Hollywood films that she starred in. Would you welcome lovely Alexis Smith. Covered them up.
I did what?
You covered them up.
Oh!
One of the thrills in the show is when she comes out with those fantastic long legs. Those are yours.
Yes, those are.
I want to tell you, it's fabulous. And what a great show, Alexis.
Thank you. You'd not seen it before.
I hadn't seen it. So it was a big thrill. And you must love that theater.
Well, it's really an exceptional theater. I think Craig Stevens, my husband, and I have played most of the new theaters in the country, and I don't think any of them can compare with the Shubert Theater in Century City. Los Angeles should be very, very proud.
Oh, have to be. It's really exciting.
Oh, indeed.
And what a night.
Well, yes, it was.
Did you have any fears coming back to Los Angeles? Of course, you've done a show here, a stage show here.
Yes, once.
Plain and
Once
Fancy.
before, yes.
Right. But I mean, coming back with your own show from New York?
Well, it's scarcely my own show. It's Mr. Prince's show and Mr. Bennett's and Mr.
No, but
Sondheim's.
probably what I mean by that is a show that you went out and created the role yourself and then
indeed.
came back to town.
Well, I've never done that before, and that's really a wonderful, wonderful, and very interesting experience to follow the development of the musical from the first day of rehearsal, and have the privilege to create a role, as we've all done in this, Dorothy, John, Yvonne, and Jean, and myself.
Is this something you dreamed about?
Oh,
being
yes.
a success on
Well,
the
doesn't everybody dream
boards?
about being a success? If you're not going to dream about being a failure, you know.
No, but in a sense, that's what that story is. Parts of it are very depressing. I mean, I had second thoughts about, as long as I've been in this business, about whether I wanted to continue in it after I saw those confused and mixed-up lives, and then coming back and trying to recapture something that went away.
Well, I think.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I do. You're saying that it's not a standard musical.
No, I mean, it doesn't open like Broadway rhythm.
No.
I mean, it's, for the first few minutes, it's depressing until you realize that.
Well, I think Mr. Hal Prince has been very courageous in doing Follies, because it's the most expensive musical that's ever been done. And to not do something that's sure, that's the standard Broadway musical, and try and move the musical theater, which is a product of this country, really, onto another level, and one of a more serious level. And although there is a lot of comedy in it too, and there are great musical numbers which Michael Bennett has done.
And costumes.
Oh yes.
You've never seen costumes on the stage in your life.
Yes, they're beautiful.
And the movement. I don't want to tell too much because they should pay.
Oh, I think so. I hope so.
No, you shouldn't. Did I pay? I can't remember. Anyway, the people, the ghosts of your youth
Yes.
move behind them, and yet and you think that's confusing when they're talking about their younger days.
No, the concept is absolutely fascinating. And now you were talking about the costumes. I don't think there's a bugle bead left in America. I think they're all at the Schubert Theater on our stage.
Oh,
because
I know.
they're beautiful costumes.
When did you leave Hollywood? When did you stop making films?
Oh, well, it left me, I think, would be more accurate.
Did it?
Yes, well, no one asked. I'd like to make pictures, but nobody asked, so...
Did there come a time when the phone didn't ring and say...
Yes. Yes, so...
And how did you handle that?
I didn't answer it.
Well, it didn't ring. Nobody answered it, right? No, but I mean, was it rough?
No, I don't think so, because I'm fortunate enough, I think, to have an insatiable curiosity, and there are many, many things in this world that are as interesting, and certainly as interesting and more interesting than being an actress and pursuing a career, and to have the time to enjoy them was a luxury.
Did you go out on the road and play?
Oh yes, I've done a
theater?
lot of stock. Yes, I have, because I enjoy working in the theater very much, and it was, I presume, more or less in preparation for doing this show or whatever the show might be. Hopefully that the opportunity would arise, which it did, and that I would be prepared and for it. And the results, I guess I was.
I bet there is every woman in the audience wants me to ask this question right now. I mean, how does it... I mean, that really is terrific. That whole body.
Yeah.
Do you do something special?
Like a car salesman.
No. Body by Fisher. Do you do something special?
I work hard, and no, I study dance, and I do yoga exercises. And
Every day?
Yes.
Foods?
I'm fortunate in that I like a high-protein diet, which is helpful, and I'm not particularly fond of sweets, so I don't have that problem. And, no, that's all, I guess. No big thing.
Oh, it really is nice, and you see it in the show. It's like I'm talking about a used body shop.
Yes.
It's terrible. Let me do a commercial, we'll sit down and chat.
All right, fine.
We'll be back after this. Your studio here was Warner Brothers.
Yes.
Wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Were you a contract player, or were you assigned?
You're in a stock contract, you start at $75 a week. Like you weren't a contract.
Sure.
Yes, yes, of course.
They were funny days.
Yes.
Did you do a lot of pictures that you didn't want to be in? And did they assign you to things you...
Well, one did pretty much what one was told, unless one was as courageous as Betty Davis, which I wasn't. And but I was delighted. I was fresh out of college and into Warner Brothers, and
Which college?
Being a movie actress, it was marvelous. I went to Los Angeles City College, and I planned to go to UCLA to get a degree, but Warner's interfered, and I never got back to UCLA.
Did you go to high school here, too?
Yes, I went to Hollywood High School.
Did you go to Hollywood High?
Yeah, indeed I did.
Alexis Smith and Carol Burnett.
Yes, Lana Turner, Judy Garland, lots of people.
Did you know, were any of them there when you were there?
Lana was, and Judy was very briefly, but they were whisked away, and I was so envious, and I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful to be discovered and be in movies, but it wasn't about to happen to me for a couple of years after.
Was it located where it is now?
Oh, yes.
Highland? And,
yes. Highland and Sunset.
Have you ever
yes.
gone back?
I did, I think one always does the first year, to go back on Alumni Day the first year, but it's been a long time now since I've been back. Usually, I get invitations to Alumni Days, but usually I've been working or out of the country or...
Now, the first motion picture of importance that you did at Warner's was
Yes,
what?
a film called Dive Bomber with Errol Flynn.
Right. Did you like Errol Flynn?
Yeah, oh yes.
He's terrific.
Yes, he was wonderful, just wonderful.
And you had other very important leading men.
Yes, I've really been very fortunate to work with some of the very great stars in the business. I worked with Gable and Cary Grant and Frederick March, Humphrey Bogart. It's quite a list.
Where's your home now?
Here in Hollywood. Craig and I lived in New York for 6 years, and then we moved back here, and we're here about a year and a half when I got Follies, so then I went back to New York, but home now is here.
Well, now, when you tire of this, and someday you're going to have to.
What, of the show?
Right.
I don't know. I'm not tired at all of doing the show. I don't think any of us are. And it's a great credit, I think, to Jim Goldman, the author, and certainly to Steve Sondheim, because, you learn the June Moon song you learn, and that's it. But there's such depth in the material that I'm constantly making new discoveries, and I found a new laugh the night before we opened, I think, and that's after playing a year and a half, finding new things in the material. So it's
Do you find any difference in audiences? New York and Los Angeles?
they vary. They will vary every night in the same city. Certainly, the audiences we've played to thus far in Los Angeles have been equally as enthusiastic as they were in New York. Opening night. Well, yes.
It was stars. There wasn't anybody in that audience that wasn't a star.
I wanted to go out and look at the movie stars. It was terrible. We had to stay backstage.
I did.
Yes.
I got behind a palm tree. Saw them all out there.
Yes.
Then they had that terrific party after.
Yes.
But when the time comes that you're going to move on to something else, will you then want to move on back into films, or would you want to go do another Broadway show?
I'd like to do another Broadway show. I'd like to do a picture. It depends mostly, I think, on the role. And I think any actor will answer that. But, well, most actors. I don't think the medium is as important as the role. However, I must say I enjoy the theater very much, and it's certainly been good to me.
You're certainly good for it, I'll tell you that. If I may, I'd like to ask somebody to join us. A young lady loaded with talent who's made good use of it in Follies and on television through the years, on your hit parade, as I said, Candid Camera, every major variety show, and on the legitimate stage. And she's going to sing her show-stopping ballad, and it really is, from Follies, Losing My Mind. Here she is right now. Welcome, one of the most popular gals in our business, Dorothy Collins.
The sun comes up, I think about you. The coffee cup, I think about you. I want you so, it's like I'm losing my mind. The morning ends, I think about you. I talk to friends, I think about you. And do they know it's like I'm losing my mind? All afternoon doing every little chore, the thought of you stays bright. Sometimes I stand in the middle of the floor, not going left, not going right. I dim the lights and think about you. Spend sleepless nights to think about you. You said you loved me, or were you just being kind? You said you loved me, or were you just being kind? Or am I losing
This is WNAC-TV, Boston.
I've got to tell you, congratulations first.
Oh, thank you very much.
We're all so thrilled at that performance.
So are we. I tell you, when
the
you
review-
say you like it, it's like our child.
Do you know, people were trying to get through to the Schubert Theater today, and the phones are busy all day long.
Oh, isn't that nice?
So I guess it's a sellout.
I hope so.
Was it a particular thrill for you, Dorothy?
The whole thing has been a particular thrill. It's been like a dream come true, and like Alexis was saying, it's so rich in every department that everybody warned me that I was going to be bored, you know, after 3 months. Oh, you're going to be tired and want to get out. And it's joyous. You find new things. You never get tired. Of course, I'm on stage all the time, and that sounds like an ego trip, which I don't mean.
You're very seldom off the stage.
But I never get a chance to wait around the wings and get bored, like, you know, some people might. Not in our show, but in other shows. And I just love everybody involved. I'm so happy.
Well, now, you don't take this strangely, but it is true.
I will, then.
No. Yeah, right on the line. I shouldn't have done that. But it's terrific to see a television singer, a television baby, make it on the stage. Because for years they said, oh, television people, they can't work without cue cards, and they stand perfectly still.
Listen, I'm so overjoyed that I don't have to wear a blouse and tie.
I know. For years we saw hit her and she was covered up to here. And the
I didn't think I could do anything else but that. You know?
The rumor always had that somebody had thrown acid on you, and you were hiding all that, you know.
Acid?
Where did it go?
No. Battleship tattooed on my chest was
I
the
heard
best
that.
story.
Yeah. I heard it was an aircraft carrier. I heard it.
I was in fire. You know, people love to imagine that there's some secret reason why you do things consistently. And wearing a blouse and tie and high neck dresses was a consistent thing with me because American Tobacco wanted the image, and they liked that look, and they said, okay, that's it. So I couldn't cut my hair for 8 years, and I couldn't wear anything. So we got so many letters that they said, well, you better, you know, expose your chest a little. So we did, but they believed that we had clever makeup. So if the people want to believe something, they're going to believe it. So
Follies is not a show that a singer would step out on the stage and just do a couple of numbers and say some abstract lines. It's an actor's and an actress's show that you just can't be a singer. You've got to be a fine actor to be in it because there's so many emotions and so many things going on. Plots and subplots that are fascinating, and you're seeing people's lives being ripped open, and it's not easy to carry off. And that's because sometimes they're in the middle of a conversation, and you don't even realize that they've gone into a song.
Yeah, that's what I love about
And
it.
that is what is so
That's
wonderful.
part of the
to see.
genius, yeah.
Right.
It's so great, too, because you don't have time to think, oh, that song's coming up, you know, and I've got to prepare for that, and because all of a sudden you're singing, and Steve has a genius for putting words together with music that you never have to hold a word that lyrically it's not going to make sense, because musically it does. He seems to be able to do the both and make them right, and you can tell a story and make it please you and him and them, hopefully.
I think people would think they were going to see Follies we're going to sing. Hundreds of chorus girls. That's probably the most true portrayal of a cast and an era in theater that has ever been done. It's sad, and yet it's happy. How would you explain the plot?
Well, I think it mirrors life in that respect. You know, explain the plot.
Well, you
But it's
can't.
a happening, you know. It really. Thanks a lot.
No, it isn't that complicated.
It's a happening in a sense. As if, you know,
It's the story of all these girls who had been great Follies stars on Broadway, and they came back to a theater because the theater's going to be torn down for a reunion. And from there, their lives are just exposed.
It unfolds in that evening, and they're caught up in the past and the present. And as I said, I think it's more a happening than a standard theater piece, you know, than a play, as one thinks of plays, which I also think makes it even far more interesting than, you know, the standard plot progression. Boy gets, loses, meets, but gets, loses girl, you know.
The interesting thing that you can't anticipate who's going to like what or what the group is going to like. before we opened, we kind of thought that the age group from 40 or 50 would really dig the show, would really understand and identify with it, because that's the age group of the marriages that are exposed. And it's the college group that really come back, and they identify themselves as college freaks. And I've joined that club, Follies freaks rather, because you have to see the show more than once, I think, to understand, to see everything, because it's so rich and full of exciting, wonderful things. You're following the story in this beautiful 6-foot lady with who's the ghost of a Follies lady in the past. You watch her, and then you come back to the story, and you may have missed a little. So come back twice or 3 years.
Yes, or Dorothy has a fan in New York, Mr.
He's
Owens.
here.
Is Mr. Owens
He
here?
called me today.
Who's seen
Who's
it how
Mr.
many
Owens?
times?
66 times.
He has. Now, he adores Dorothy. I said it's one thing to come and see her 66 times, but he has to sit through the rest of us 66 times.
66
Isn't that wild?
Isn't that lovely? Yeah, and, you know, I thought he'd be rather unreasonable or kind of strange. And he's a very reasonable man, and
Except when it comes to Follies.
yes,
But when you talk to him, what does he say to you?
he knows everything about the show, and it's usually, I'm going to have dinner with him tomorrow night after the show. That's the first time.
God, tell your husband.
Oh, he knows.
I'm sure
and he has a lovely wife, and it was so funny because it was difficult because Alexis and I were both up for the Tony Awards. But when I lost, he sent me a letter, and he put a black border around, like he was in mourning.
Does that still happen once in a while? In New York, where notes are sent backstage?
Oh, you mean from stage door Johnny kind
Yeah.
of thing? Do you mean that? Oh, yes. Yes, lots of
Isn't that
notes
nice?
and flowers. And I haven't seen any. Did you get any diamonds? I haven't seen any of
No.
that. Like they do in movies. No, none of that.
Do you ever meet the people who send the letters and
On
flowers?
occasion, yes. This gentleman, I know there was a young man, a college boy again, who wrote me a note that was just so exceptional, and I was so impressed with his ideas of the show and reaction to it and everything. And I asked him backstage when he came to see it again, because and so it depends. If it's something. In my case, I can't speak for Dorothy, but if it's something that really, that really impresses you, I don't know.
This may be a naive question, but when a show like yours, with such strong performances by all the leads, is a hit on opening night, and then you get those great New York reviews, do your lives change personally in New York City? Do you suddenly see people paying more attention to you and
Get better tables and
better
restaurants.
tables and people wanting to meet you and
And you
photograph
can get
you?
into movies free or ahead of the line. Oh, yes, it's very valuable.
Parties?
Yes.
Are you invited to many more parties than...
Oh, I think so, don't you, Dorothy?
I think Alexis had it even more than I, but the problem I had was that I just got busier and busier and less time with the kids and Ron, and that bothered me. But, it's exciting. My goodness.
You really feel that you're in a hit, in other words.
Indeed.
You
Yes.
know right away.
Yes. And it's a glorious thing after rehearsing for 6 weeks and not really knowing whether it's going to, until that first night, whether it's going to gel or not, or particularly this piece, because it is unusual.
Do other producers come and say, you'd be right for this, and I want you for this? And...
Well, you mean now as a result of,
Right.
Yes, there's been talk about other shows, but we have all been involved in it signed for a length of time, so of course we were none of us free to do anything other than this.
When you're not on that stage at the Schubert, how do you keep busy? Do you have things away from you?
Dorothy. I just went, yes.
Do you sleep all day? Or?
Oh, yes.
no.
There's a difference of opinion.
Are you out mowing the lawn? Are you gardening? Are you...
No, I've been in New York, and I didn't have a lawn
Oh.
to mow in New York.
Alexis is marvelous, though. She's the most disciplined human being I think I've ever known. Because if I have to do a show and it requires dancing, then I'll bone up on the dancing, but I wouldn't go to classes. And Alexis does.
You still go to
I
classes?
admire that.
Dancing classes?
She has for years.
Singing?
Yes.
Isn't
I'm
that
queer
good?
for taking lessons, you see, so it's not really anything to admire particularly.
Oh, I think so.
And are you taking, even though you're a star in the show and you're a hit, you still take lessons?
Oh, yes. Yes,
That's good for all of us that are buying those tickets, isn't it? to know that you're studying.
Then you have to see. But I mean, it's like when you don't have the job and you don't have anything imminent. I mean, that's I've got to do this for this. She still studies, you know.
Is that fair for taking?
There she goes again. We'll be back after this. My next guest has a great wealth of theatrical experience, both as an actor and director. He began his career in Hollywood, appeared in films with such stars as June Haver, Gordon McRae, Doris Day, Tony Curtis, Gregory Peck, Jackie Leonard, and me. Later, Jane Powell was in that picture. We're the three sailors. I guess it was Gordon McRae and Gene and I guess Fat Jack was a sailor.
I think so.
He looked like a whole submarine. We once went on location, and they tried to pull him out through that hole, in the top of the submarine. They had to grease the hole to get him out. Later, Gene became a director and took a very important role in Follies because he wanted to shake up his life a bit. And that's good. Follies has done that for a lot of us. Ladies and gentlemen, would you welcome Mr. Gene Nelson?
Way up there. What do you say up there? I see it all. It's like a movie in my head that plays and plays. It isn't just the bad things I remember. It's the whole damn show. Waiting around for the girls upstairs after the curtain came down. Money in my pocket to spend. Money, could you maybe get a friend for my friend? Hearing the sounds of the girls above, dressing to go on the town. Putting heels on steel and cement, picking up the giggles floating down through the bend. Hours that I ever spent were waiting for the girls upstairs. Hey, up there, way up there, what do you say up there? That's where the keys hung and that's where you picked up your mail. I remember me and Ben, we come around at 10. Me and Ben would hang around the wing, watching things with what the hell was his name? The old guy, Max, I remember. Anyway, there we'd stay until the curtain fell. And the curtain fell. Then all hell broke. Girls on the run, a scenery flying, doors slamming left and right. Girls in their undies blushing and trying not to duck out of sight. Girls by the hundreds waving and crying, see you tomorrow night. Girls looking frazzled and girls looking great. Girls in a frenzy to get to a date. Girls like a madhouse and two of them late. And who had to wait? And wait. And wait. And wait, waiting around for the girls upstairs. Weren't we chuckleheads then? Very young and very old hat. Everybody has to go through stages like that. Waiting around for the girls upstairs. Thank you, but never again. Life was fun, but oh so intense. Everything was possible and nothing made sense. Back there when one of the major events was waiting for the girls, waiting for the girls, waiting for the girls upstairs.
Gene Nelson accomplished? First of all, I'm amazed he didn't enter by jumping off the balcony. That's one.
Never asked me.
But you and because you would have. That's right. Number two, that song is done by the four leads in the show, and he sang all their parts, and the girls going, that's me, that's you.
But originally the song, Steve told me last night, which I didn't know. He said the song originally was written for a kind of show business, no business like show business number for the show as a solo. I thought, that's a good idea. I like that. And so I asked him if he didn't mind if I did it. Cancel it? No, I was thinking of you every minute.
Oh, what about me?
And you too. I saw you up there, when I do a little bit.
You never took the easy way to do anything, though, did you, Gene? I remember at Warner Brothers, you would never come out and just do a little dance. You leapt off the roof, went through a burning building, came down on the curtain, swung on the stage, and did your number.
Well, I don't know.
And you did it the other night.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, when I saw the whole audience went.
When I saw those poles on the stage, I told Boris Aronson, I said, "Oh boy, can that be fun?" Because they're all there to work with. And I don't know, in numbers that I've done in films, I've hopefully been in a set that would allow, to do kind of fun, crazy things. I think showing people that would say, "Gee, it'd be fun to do that," and like taking a chair and tipping it back and walking right on and jumping over things. And
you never did get hurt, did I remember? Did you ever
I got hurt once when I was at Warner Brothers.
In Boston?
Oh, yeah, well.
What'd you do in Boston?
I tore a small muscle in my calf, and it hemorrhaged, and I had to keep it wrapped all the time. I was walking with a cane. I did the show at night. I was on Percodan for 2 weeks, and it got better.
We'll be right back.
Well, there are 4 really predominant reasons. Hal Prince, Steve Sondheim, James Goldman, and Michael Beck. I figured if I was going to entertain the idea of giving up my directing career for whatever length of time, I certainly couldn't go under any better auspices, And the next question was, did I want to give up what I was doing here? And I thought it was about time to shake my life up a little bit, and it was fascinating. I loved the material, and I loved the idea really of working with these people, because when I read the script, it was written on both sides of the page, and I read here, and I read, and then I look over here, and I couldn't find out where these lines fit into these lines, so it was very confusing to me. I said, Hal will sort it out. I'm sure he has the whole thing up here. I'm going to let him worry about it. I like the idea. And so we went. That was great. We had just...
Why do you want to shake up your life?
Well, I heard a thing that Moss Hart said once, and in fact, he wrote it in his book. He says, every so often in your life, it is of great value to shake your life up, change things. Don't become stagnant.
Bravo.
And I remember we went to that Friends of the Library down at USC, and they did a whole thing on Moss Hart down there. And Gregory Peck was reading out of the Act 1, and he read that quote, and this was a long time ago, and that kind of stuck with me, And it came in handy for when they made the call to come to do Follies.
I mean, a lot of people are doing that now, doing something to shake their lives up a little bit. Not getting into the
lethargic sort of thing. I think it has to do with the acceleration of the existence today. Our living is so much faster, and you better shake it up or be left behind.
Sure, it's easy to do. It's easy to get too comfortable.
I really told that story a minute ago about Warner Brothers. At the same time you were there, I was just getting ready. I had just joined Warner Brothers. You were there, and Gordon was there, and Doris Day was still there. And Doris had recommended me for my screen test. And they put me in the film with Katherine Grayson. It came that moment, I had never seen myself on a screen. And they wouldn't let me go to the Russian Sea because they said he's new. And if he doesn't know what he looks like, he won't change anything. He'll just keep going. Evidently, they were pleased. And Katherine even would say, that's the camera. And she would aim me. So that because otherwise my head was always back there.
You learn fast.
Yes, you do learn fast. Came the night that they had the press preview, and they had it right up here at the Pantages Theater. And I went, and I took at least 10 friends with me. because I knew it was going to be a terrible experience. And came the moment where you suddenly see yourself on the screen. I went, like, get off, you're dumb and stupid. And I was saying it out loud, and I finally ended up on the floor. Then I couldn't look, and the scenes got worse, and it got into love scenes, and I was wringing my hands. The kiss, I almost made a noise. And we came out after, and all these, I was the only one from the picture there, and all the press people, including Hedda Hopper, the late Hedda Hopper was there, and all of them, and they all came over to me and they said, well, that was fantastic, and you're going to be a great motion picture star, and you're wonderful, darling. And I was standing there, and I thought, well, I was darn good, wasn't I? And I went home, and I waited, and the phone never rang for 2 years. 2 years, nobody ever called, and that was the end of my movie career. I thought I was dead. And I was sure from that moment on. Isn't that terrible?
It's sad.
And I got in a car and went to New York and said, the heck with that town.
When were you on the Arthur Murray, Catherine Murray?
Oh, yeah.
I remember that very
When
clearly.
you and I were there in 1958.
Sure.
Yeah.
Was it that long ago?
Yep. What do you mean that long ago? Was that long ago?
Listen, no, I was there too.
But nobody called for 2 years, and that was the end of the film career. And I thought I had made it in one night.
You were pretty much into films at that time, too, as I recall.
Well, we came out with...
They were really starting to take a fast dip there at that point.
We worked 6 months on a film, and it came out the same day that 20th Century Fox announced CinemaScope. And everything was massive screens, and we had a picture that this was picked. You were going saying, oh, you're in one of those old films, huh? That was the end of that era.
Do you remember the time we had with Jackie Leonard on Three Sailors and a Girl?
I'll never forget it.
Well, this was his first picture also.
Mm-hmm.
And he weighed enormous then. He was 300 pounds. And I was doing the choreography for the picture. And so whenever we weren't working on doing scenes, we were rehearsing, right? And he kept saying, now, I don't know anything about pictures. You know, when we do scenes, let me know. I said, okay. So I come in, we do a scene. I said, there's your key light. We walk in, we rehearse, we stand by the desk, and be sure to stand there and, cueing him all the way. Well, this goes on, like, for 2 months, 3 months. At the end of the picture, we do the opening number, remember?
Right.
Down in the submarine.
Oh,
right? Remember? And he's been, doing all his sticks all the way through the whole thing, and he's funny. And he sweats a lot. Oh, my goodness, he sweats.
Oh, does he sweat?
I mean, you put him under the lights like this, and it's just running on the floor,
I really don't know what's the matter with that.
I think I'm leaking to death. All that's left.
So finally, we get down. We're doing the last number, which takes place in a moving submarine underneath, and we're all doing this number. And I have the end picture for the number is Gordon and myself, and up front, and then there's guys, all the sailors, kind of grouped around, right? And in every single rehearsal, I'd be like this. We're having a musical argument. You're right, you're wrong, you're right, you're wrong, And all of a sudden, here's Jackie's face, like this, right? I said, Jackie, back there. We did this about 5 times in rehearsal. And he did it again, and I really gave him a shove. And he says, you made your own monster.
Being his first film, he came out and he hired a limousine to drive him every day. And he kept it parked outside the soundstage. So when we finished and they'd say lunch and we'd break, he'd say, Griffin, you're trying to get in the limousine. We're going to commissary. And I'd say, but there's the commissary.
Do it in style. Get in the limousine.
So I had to get in the limousine with the big fat guy, and he'd drive 50 feet. And the chauffeur would have to get out and open the door, and we'd have to go in the commissary. He was the only one who arrived. There was all the great stars. One day we were sitting there, and there was a comedian, Tommy Noonan, who was making a picture there. And all of the great stars of Warner Brothers, including Betty Davis, was back for something, and they were all sitting there, and they were all eating, and everybody's charming. And Leonard and I say, he'd say, hey, there's so-and-so over there. Look at that. And suddenly, over the loudspeaker, Tommy Noonan, doing one of his jokes, had gotten the microphone and said, ladies and gentlemen, do not drink your water. It's contaminated. And all the stars went, Oh, that was terrible. They lifted him bodily out of the counter. We'll be back after this word. Also has a starring role in the hit musical Follies. She's a star in theater, movies, and of course television, where she played the role of Mrs. Munster. for several seasons. I don't know if she likes me pointing that out exactly.
Oh, she loves
After
it.
all the great exotic films. So, would you welcome the lovely Miss Yvonne DeCarlo?
Good times and fun times, I've seen them all, and my dear, I'm still here. Plush velvet sometimes just pretzels and beer, but I'm here. I've stuffed the dailies in my shoes, strummed ukulele, sung the blues, seen all my dreams disappear, but I'm here. I've slept in shanties, guests of the WPA, and I'm here. Danced in my scanties, $3 a night was the pay, and I'm here. I've stood on bread lines with the best, watched while the headlines did the rest. In the depression was I depressed? Nowhere near. I met a big financier, and I'm here. I've been through Gandhi, Wally, and Windsor's affair, and I'm here. Amos and Andy, Mahjong and platinum hair, and I'm here. I got through Amy's Irish Rose, by Dion Babies, Major Bowes, had heebie-jeebies for BB's family sphere. I lived through Brenda Fraser, and I'm here. I've gotten through Herbert and J. Edgar Hoover. Gee, that was fun and a half. When you've been through Herbert and J. Edgar Hoover, anything else is a laugh. I've been through Reno, I've been through Beverly Hills, and I'm here. Reefers and vino, rescuers, religion and pills, but I'm here. Been called a pinko, call me tool. Got through it stinko by my pool. I should have gone to an acting school, that seems clear. Still, someone said she's sincere, so I'm here. Black sable one day, next day it goes into hock.
showstopper.
Gee, I didn't forget the words this time.
You're not doing that after all this time in Follies,
Only on television.
Has that ever happened? After 2 years, they say it does.
Sure.
If you're not with it.
It doesn't happen to her, but it happens to me.
Well, the staging is different. I mean, you're so used to doing the number the same way.
You're right. You know, like just now I thought, should I go left, right, or what?
This is your first Broadway musical, too, isn't it?
Yes.
You love it?
I adore it, yes.
The last time we worked
I've always
together...
wanted to sing, you know, and nobody would ever let me sing, so... so I got a chance. No, it's really fun. It's just marvelous. I'm having a good time.
Last time we worked together was on my show, and you did Hello, Dolly. You carried flags or something.
We waved flags, and I forgot, and I let the flag down a little bit, and you went like this.
Yeah. I didn't want to answer all that mail. That's what... Are you still excited about it every night?
Yes, I think so, yes.
That's quite a lyric.
Well, a musical keeps one up. I don't care too much about playing a straight play. The last straight show I did was Cactus Flower, and Alexis had done it in 2 or 3 of the towns just before we did it, you know, and I used to get all muddled up and wonder on matinee days whether I had said those lines just a few minutes before or whether it was the matinee. I'd get pretty bored with the whole thing.
Did you start your career?
Dottie thinks I'm funny, by the way. You are? You know why they put me on later in this show? Because my bosses, and I guess your producers, are afraid of what I might say.
Are you known for being saying
I
sharp
don't always
things?
say the right things, do I?
Not always.
Oh, come on, say some wrong things.
Go ahead. Oh, don't tempt me.
What do you mean? Do you have causes or things that you speak out on, or do you just...
No. I was a mayor for 2 years of North Hollywood. But there's no crime in that, is there?
I didn't know that.
My election was fixed.
What?
Crooked politics.
That's an honorary appointment, isn't it?
Oh, yes. You had to spoil it all.
Oh, North Hollywood writing those letters. And they can. Did you start your career on the stage? Or movies?
Let me see. Well, I sort of served an apprenticeship for a couple of years at Paramount. Studied and did tests, made tests with whoever they were testing at the time for Dr. Wassel and Cecil B. DeMille Pictures and all of that. So I had a lot of training at Paramount, and I always wanted to be an opera singer. But that didn't happen. I did sing at the Hollywood Bowl once, though. I sang Die Fledermaus by Strauss, and right after that, they closed the Hollywood Bowl.
Maybe you were facing the wrong way. Of all the films you did, Yvonne, is there one you like best?
Yes, I liked a couple of the comedies with Alec Guinness, Captain's Paradise.
That's right. Oh, that was love that.
And I liked very much Hotel Sahara, which was Peter Ustinov's first film.
Right.
That was fun. And The 10 Commandments was a great experience, actually.
It was originally.
I was going to... No, I wasn't in the original.
No, I wasn't suggesting. Are you sure? I'm going to tell a cute story, but a week ago, we were up fishing up at Silver Lake, and we went to this charming restaurant. And the poor maitre d' was out of his mind. He said, and Silver Lake is a little tiny resort, beautiful up here, Mammoth and June Lakes. And he said, Mr. Griffin, you're here tonight. And I said, yeah. He said, what a week it's been. Yvonne DeCarlo was here yesterday, and Frank Capra was here last night, and you're here tonight, and I got a reservation for Clint Eastwood tomorrow night. He said, Hollywood is here.
You know,
what were you doing up there?
Up good.
Uh-oh.
I didn't tell my husband I was going up there. How can I prevent him from looking at this book?
Oh, it wasn't Yvonne DeCarlo. What that?
I was there in a dark week.
Oh, yeah. Bad mustache,
no,
though.
it's heaven up there. Isn't it beautiful? Oh, and...
Do you go up and fish?
When I have time, yes. I used to take the boys up, my 2 sons. Mm-hmm.
and fish, but this time I didn't have time. I drove from St. Louis, Missouri, alone with a Bedlington Terrier. That's not quite alone, is it?
That's alone enough, though. We'll be back after this message.
Here's one of the leading men, the Broadway musical Follies, now at the Schubert Theater in Century City. It's fun to say. And a very fine actor. You know him from his starring role in the movie Sweet Charity, opposite Shirley MacLaine, his various roles on television. The best way to introduce him is to say that about an hour ago, the stage door opened, and this man crept along the wall and tried to hide behind the set. He is an excellent talent and a great performer, but he's terribly shy. And I had to say, John, come on. And I'm like, oh, they caught me, so I'll do it anyway. Here he is, John McMartin. It's going to be all right, John. Are you that shy?
I'm still downstairs in the green room wondering why I didn't show up.
Do you slink out every night?
Pretty much, yes.
And go home?
No.
You don't go home?
No. I have a drink after the show. That's what I do.
Have you always been shy?
Yes.
But then, that might be why your performance as another character is so excellent.
Well, that's why. I go into the theater, I guess. I can hide behind something.
Who are you, John?
I asked myself when I was driving down the studio door, I said, who are you? And I was about to give myself an answer, and then somebody yelled, you're on a wrong-way street. So
Do you love, though, the performance every night, going to it?
Very much so, yes.
Well, you must. That's an excellent performance. Everybody was talking about it. Your review said the same thing. That's a very complex role. There is a moment in that show where you have convinced the entire audience, and they were all professionals there, that you had stumbled and forgotten everything in your head, and we all went, for you. I shouldn't really be telling that, but it's quite a moment in the show.
Thank you.
That's it. Maybe if I just continue to make long speeches, you'll just say... Where are you from, John?
The Midwest. Minnesota.
Which city?
St. Cloud.
St. Cloud?
Yes.
How did you get from St. Cloud to Schubert Theater in Century City?
Well, I always wanted to be an actor, and I went to New York.
Study there?
No, mostly summer stock. I did about 100 plays in summer stock before I ever worked in New York.
Up and down the East Coast?
Pretty much. But how does one ever start? You know, when I arrived in New York, I picked up one of the trade papers. It said, wanted actor to play small roles and able to run a tractor. Summer stock company in Missouri, and I called up, and he said, well, what kind of experience have you had? And I said, well, for the last 2 years, I've been playing Judas in a pageant in North Dakota. And he said, well, that's what we're looking for. And so my heart started to pound. I thought, you know, I'm going to be a star. And he said, well, that's fine. He said, well, of course, we have our leading man, and how tall are you? And I said, well, I'm 6'1". He said, oh, no. He said, That's too tall. You're taller than our leading man. Too tall. And then I heard myself saying, I'm sorry, did I say 6'1"? I meant 1'6". And then he said, no, you're too small to run the tractor. You have to get used to rejection.
Yeah. So there were no more Judas Iscariot parts?
No more. I was fired from that anyway because the guy that was playing Christ was unhappy because I was getting exit applause.
That can't be.
Threw the passion out of whack.
What was your first major milestone in your career, John?
Well, the first thing I did in New York was Little Mary Sunshine, which was a big success. Yes,
But did Sweet Charity really do it for you?
What?
Make you known to theater audiences?
Yes, I think it
Other
did.
producers?
I remember the first Broadway show that I was in. It was a disaster, but I was so excited at being on Broadway that I sent the reviews home. You know, terrible reviews, but I wanted to let them know that I arrived on Broadway. And I remember my mother sending a letter saying, thank you for the clippings, but I don't think those men are going to help your show with their sarcastic remarks. Which is really what they were.
Do you remember your bad reviews?
Well,
rather than your good ones? Yeah, I guess that is generally the case, isn't it? Do you have a lot of them?
The ones that I do have seem to be a lot, even if it's just one.
What was your worst flop? Because sometimes those are more fun to talk about than success.
Well, the first show that I remember, we never finished the third act. It was an off-Broadway show. I forget the title at the time. It was Contribution Theater. It was literally passing a hat.
Somebody stole the hat?
we didn't even get that. The set was, we put it up together with Scotch tape and paper clips and what have you. And I was playing a psychopath, and the entire first 50 minutes of the play, I'm carrying various parts of my stepbrother's body around and hiding it in the house and in the apartment, and then he sublets.
Any good songs?
No, there are no songs, but we could have used a few. And this couple comes in, and then they find out what this man has done. And in the third act, this character that I was playing arrives, and it's raining, and they're rattling that foil thunder effect, and I was supposed to open the door, and this kind of green light is on, the rain and the mess. I pushed open the door, and the entire set came down. The poor woman whose leg was in a cast was groveling under the set, trying to exposing the policemen who come on at the end of the show. The stage manager ran over to pull the curtain, and the rope broke. So, I guess that would be the most disastrous.
Yes. And that's why you didn't finish the third act.
That was it. We never finished the play.
We'll be back after this word. Second naive question of the show. You're all well-known, and well-known to Broadway producers. Did you have to audition for your parts in Follies?
It's a naive question.
Yes. Even though you're that famous, you have to go out and audition.
3 times for me. I don't know about Dorothy, how many times did you audition?
I auditioned once, and then Steve asked me to come back to hear how high I sang because I said, I've never let anybody tell me because I would be afraid.
Yes.
So I came back and sang something from She Loves Me, which for me is an opera.
She Loves Me.
Yes.
What was your audition piece?
I did a reading here at the theater down on Wilshire Boulevard for Hal one afternoon. And then he asked me if I would come back to New York and sing for Steve. Now, I hadn't sung in 10 years. I've been barking at actors and directing and yelling in the wind, and there was like nothing left. I said, you're going to be sorry because it's a wasted trip. But anyway, he is a very convincing man, and I fortunately had time between 2 television shows, went back, and I prepared the girls upstairs. And we got to the theater, the Alvin Theater where company was playing, and I sang a song. I didn't have time to memorize it. It's a very long song, so I read it off paper, and at that time I had a gray beard and I wore Benny Franklin glasses, so I must have looked just right for the part. I really did. So I did the whole number, and Steve came down and he said, oh, that was fine. He said, could you sing it a little higher? I'll try, right? So I did it again. Then he said, do you know any other song? I said, I've even forgotten the national anthem since I've been, I just can't think of the... Somebody came up with Kansas City. I did Kansas City. I sang that 3 times in 3 different keys until I couldn't even talk afterwards. And he said, I'm sorry to put you through this. He says, but I have to know what key to write the songs in. That was an audition. Scared me to death.
And yours, Alexis?
Well, I auditioned here the first time, and my agent said it was very early because Hal wasn't casting yet, and he would be casting in about 6 months, but he felt it was advisable for me to do it. And 6 months later, he called, and he said, Hal is now casting seriously. And I said, fine, and he said, but he isn't interested in you. I said, he called me from New York to tell me this? Thanks a lot. So he said, but I want you to audition again. And he said, I'm going to talk him into it. And I said, how? And I said, and does he like Mexican food? I cook very good Mexican food. I thought maybe I could bribe him that way.
Give him a little heartburn.
Yes. So he did finally convince him to see me again, and I had been studying again. I'd been studying in the interim with a man called David Craig, who you know David, and he does really remarkable things. Well, he did remarkable things for me, that's for sure, because the second time I auditioned, Hal asked me if I would learn Leave You, which is a long song, and go to New York and sing for Steve and Jim Goldman. So that's how it turned out to be 3 times, 1 reject, and the 3rd time was the charm in this case.
Thank goodness you did it.
Oh.
We'll be right back. Evenings I remember in a theater. Of course, it's the Schubert Theater at Century City, and you're all great performers. Fabulous. 2 more.